Hey there, friends. Welcome to Speak English with Mishu. I'm Emily, and I'm so glad you're here with us today.
And I'm Liam. We've got a powerful topic to dive into, one that so many English learners struggle with: thinking in English. Not just learning vocabulary, not just grammar, but actually learning how to think in English so you can speak with confidence without translating in your head.
Exactly. If you're someone who knows the words, understands grammar, but still freezes up or takes too long to speak because you're mentally translating from your native language to English, this episode is for you.
And let me tell you, you're not alone. Almost every English learner goes through this. It's totally normal in the beginning. But if you don't overcome it, it becomes a roadblock that slows everything down. Your fluency, your confidence, even your motivation.
Yeah, and I've spoken with so many students who say things like, I know what I want to say, but it just won't come out in English. Or, I think in my language first, then translate, and by the time I speak, the moment is gone.
That hesitation, that mental back and forth, it's exhausting, isn't it? It's like having a slow internet connection when you're trying to watch a video. You keep buffering. You miss the moment.
So today, we're going to talk about why this happens, how it holds you back, and most importantly, how to stop it. We're going to teach you how to think in English so your words flow naturally.
And don't worry, we're not going to throw a bunch of complicated theory at you. We're going to keep it practical, simple, and fun. You'll get real-life tips, emotional encouragement, and even a little role play to help you practice.
Also, we'll share some of our personal experiences, including mistakes we made while learning other languages. Because, hey, we've been there too. We know what it feels like to get stuck translating every sentence in your head.
So whether you're a beginner or an intermediate learner, by the end of this episode, you'll know how to train your brain to think directly in English and how that one shift can unlock a totally new level of fluency.
Ready to finally speak English with confidence and stop translating in your head? Let's do this together. Let's dive in.
Let's start with what this problem actually looks like in real life. You've studied English for years. You understand grammar rules. You know a lot of words. But when someone talks to you, your brain freezes. Why?
Because you're not just speaking, you're translating. In your head, you're thinking, okay, in my language, I want to say this. Now, what's the English word? What's the right structure? Is my grammar okay? That process takes time. And in a real conversation, time is limited.
That pressure builds up fast. Imagine you're at a coffee shop and someone says, "Hey, how's your day going?" And instead of replying quickly, you're silently translating, "My day is fine." Okay, fine is correct, but should I say, "I'm fine" or "My day is fine"?
Exactly. By the time you figure it out, they're already waiting awkwardly. You feel embarrassed. You might even give up and just nod or smile. And afterward, you think, why can't I just speak naturally?
Here's the truth. This happens to everyone who's used to learning a language the traditional way, memorizing, translating, repeating. But language doesn't work like a school test in real life. It's fast, emotional, unpredictable.
And what happens next is even worse. You start avoiding conversations. You stop practicing because you're afraid of freezing up again. That fear builds and your confidence drops, even though your knowledge is good.
We've seen this happen with students from all over the world: India, Bangladesh, Brazil, Vietnam, Italy. Different countries, same problem. They're thinking too much instead of letting the language flow.
And let's not forget, it's mentally exhausting. You're using double the brain power, first to think in your language, then to convert, then to speak. It's like trying to write a letter while running a race.
Here's another real-life example. You're in a job interview in English. You know the answers, you've practiced them. But because you're translating everything in your mind, your responses sound slow, unnatural, even robotic. And that hurts your chances.
Or you're watching a movie in English. You understand the words, but your brain keeps trying to translate every sentence. You can't enjoy the story. You're stuck in analysis mode.
It's no wonder so many learners feel stuck. They say, "I understand English, but I can't speak it." And usually the problem isn't knowledge, it's translation. It's that habit of thinking in another language first.
But here's the good news. This is a habit you can change. You can train your brain to think in English. And once you do that, everything becomes easier. Listening, speaking, reacting in real time.
In the next part, we're going to explore the root causes. Why do we translate in the first place? And what's going on in the brain when we do that? Because when we understand the why, it's easier to change the how. Let's dig deeper now. Why do we translate in our heads in the first place? What's really going on here?
It starts with how we learn languages in school. For many of us, English wasn't taught as a communication tool, it was taught as a subject. We learned vocabulary lists, grammar rules, and sentence translations. That built a habit. Hear your language first, then look for the English version.
Right. And schools often focus on being correct instead of being fluent. That pressure to avoid mistakes creates fear. So even when we know what we want to say, we pause and think, is this right? That fear leads us back to translating because it feels safer.
There's also an emotional side to this. Many learners are perfectionists. They want every sentence to be 100% correct, but that mindset blocks natural speaking. Kids don't learn that way. When a child learns to speak, they don't worry about mistakes. They just try, repeat, and improve.
And let's talk about confidence. If you've had a bad experience, maybe someone laughed at your English or corrected you in a harsh way, it creates emotional pain. Your brain remembers that moment, so next time you hesitate. You try to prepare every sentence in your mind before speaking.
That hesitation is understandable, but it reinforces the habit of translating. It becomes a mental safety net. You think, if I translate first, I won't make a mistake. But the truth is, translation slows you down and increases your chances of getting stuck.
There's also the way our brains are wired. When we start learning a new language, our brain naturally tries to connect it to what we already know, our native language. So at first, some translation is normal. But if we keep doing it for too long, it becomes a habit that's hard to break.
And habits, once formed, don't go away easily. You have to replace them. You can't just tell your brain, don't translate. You have to train your brain to think in English little by little with practice and exposure.
Another reason people translate is because they don't trust their own English. They doubt themselves. Even if they know the right word, they second-guess it. So instead of saying it, they search for a better or safer word through translation.
So now we understand the emotional and logical causes: traditional teaching methods, fear of mistakes, low confidence, bad past experiences, and brain wiring. That's why this habit is so common and so powerful.
But here's the good part. Once you're aware of these causes, you can work on them. And in the next part, we're going to give you your first real strategy to stop translating and start thinking in English, naturally and confidently. All right, let's get into action now. The first big strategy to stop translating in your head is something simple but powerful. Immerse your brain in English every single day.
Yes, the key word here is immersion. Your brain needs to hear, see, and process English as often as possible, not just during study time, but during your everyday life. That's how we start shifting from translation mode to thinking mode.
So how do you do that if you don't live in an English-speaking country? Good news, you don't have to. You can create your own English environment with the things you already use every day.
Let's start small. Change your phone's language to English. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is actually helping your brain get used to English thinking.
Another easy way, start watching YouTube, movies, or Netflix with English audio and English subtitles. When you listen and read in English at the same time, your brain begins to connect meaning directly instead of translating.
And here's a fun one. Talk to yourself in English. Seriously. It sounds silly, but it works. You can describe what you're doing. I'm making coffee. Now I'm pouring water. I'm feeling sleepy today. This trains your brain to form English sentences naturally.
You don't need perfect grammar or advanced vocabulary. The goal is not perfection, it's habit. You're teaching your mind, this is how we think now, in English.
Try to do this for 5 to 10 minutes every day. Pick a routine moment, maybe when you're getting ready in the morning or walking somewhere. Think or speak in English about whatever you see or feel.
Here's a tip. Choose a few everyday topics like food, your plans for the day, or how you're feeling. Practice thinking about those topics in English repeatedly. The more familiar they become, the faster your thoughts will switch to English automatically.
This daily exposure builds language instincts, just like a musician who practices scales or an athlete who trains daily. Your brain becomes faster, sharper, and more confident when English becomes your mental default.
One of our students from Bangladesh once said that after a month of doing this, he started dreaming in English. He wasn't trying to translate, he just thought in English because he was surrounded by it all day.
That's the power of immersion. You're rewiring your brain. And the best part? You don't need to study harder. You just need to live with the language, little by little, every single day.
So your first mission is clear. Create your English world. Change your devices. Think out loud, watch content in English, and practice daily. Even 10 minutes can change the way your brain responds.
In the next part, we'll share another game-changing tip that helps you build quick thinking in English, especially useful when you're in real conversations. Now that you've started immersing yourself in English every day, let's move to the next powerful technique. This one will completely change how you think and speak. Ready? Start thinking in English phrases, not individual words.
Exactly. This is one of the most effective ways to stop translating. Most learners struggle because they try to build every sentence word by word. That's slow and stressful. Native speakers don't do that. They speak in chunks or blocks of meaning.
Think of it like this. When you say, "I'm going to the store," you don't break it into 6 separate words. You say it as one smooth idea. That's what you want to practice, smooth, ready-to-use English phrases.
Let's call these English blocks. These blocks are real phrases that native speakers use all the time, like, "How's it going? I didn't catch that. Let me think about it."
Learning and practicing these blocks trains your brain to speak faster and more naturally. And here's the key. You don't have to create the sentence from scratch every time. You already have the full phrase ready in your mind.
One great way to build these blocks is to listen actively. When you watch English content, movies, YouTube, podcasts, listen for useful phrases. Don't just hear them, notice them, write them down, repeat them out loud.
Here's a quick mini practice. I'll say a phrase, and you repeat it after me as one smooth block. Ready? That makes sense. Try it again. That makes sense. Great. Now say it without thinking about the individual words.
You can do this with hundreds of common phrases. For example, "I'm not sure." "It depends on the situation." "What do you mean?" When you say these blocks confidently, you don't need to translate anymore. You're just using English like a real speaker.
When you say these blocks confidently, you don't need to translate anymore. You're just using English like a real speaker.
Start building your personal phrase list. Keep it in your phone, notebook, or a flashcard app. Every day, pick 2 or 3 new English blocks. Say them, think with them, use them in your daily conversations or practice sessions.
And remember, the more you use a phrase, the faster it becomes automatic. That's when fluency really begins, when you stop thinking about the language and just start speaking it.
When these blocks become part of your natural speaking rhythm, you'll notice something amazing. You won't pause as much. You won't search for words. You'll feel more relaxed, more confident.
So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, pick 5 English blocks and practice them every day. Say them out loud. Use them in sentences. Speak them during your morning routine. Make them your own.
And remember, the more you use a phrase, the faster it becomes automatic. That's when fluency really begins, when you stop thinking about the language and just start speaking it.
When these blocks become part of your natural speaking rhythm, you'll notice something amazing. You won't pause as much. You won't search for words. You'll feel more relaxed, more confident.
So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, pick 5 English blocks and practice them every day. Say them out loud. Use them in sentences. Speak them during your morning routine. Make them your own.
And remember, the more you use a phrase, the faster it becomes automatic. That's when fluency really begins, when you stop thinking about the language and just start speaking it.
In the next part, we're going to introduce a third strategy, one that helps you think fast and stay calm when speaking, even under pressure.
It's especially helpful for real-life situations, job interviews, phone calls, or casual conversations. You won't want to miss it.
Now that you're building English blocks and immersing yourself every day, it's time for the third game changer. Practice thinking aloud in English during everyday activities.
This is different from just repeating phrases. Thinking aloud means describing what you're doing, feeling, or planning in real time, out loud or in your mind. It trains your brain to use English instantly.
For example, when you're cooking, say out loud, "I'm chopping the vegetables. Now I'm boiling water." When you're walking, think or say, "The weather is nice today. I'm going to the park." The more you do this, the faster your brain switches to English.
The key is to make English your default voice. It's like turning on a new channel inside your mind that runs English all day. This constant use makes forming sentences automatic, so you don't have to pause and translate.
And here's a tip. Don't worry about mistakes or grammar. The goal is to build fluency, not perfection. Your brain learns by doing. The more you practice thinking aloud, the more confident you become.
If you feel shy about talking to yourself out loud, start by thinking in English silently. Then, when you're ready, speak quietly or record yourself. Listening to your voice helps improve pronunciation and rhythm.
You can also combine this with your daily routine. For example, while waiting in line, describe what you see. People are talking. The sun is shining. This keeps your English active even in small moments.
This method trains your brain to respond quickly in conversations. When you're used to expressing your thoughts in English instantly, you'll feel less stressed during real talks.
It's like training a muscle. The more you exercise your English-speaking muscle, the stronger it gets. And thinking aloud is one of the best workouts you can do.
Try this for the next few days. Pick moments during your day to describe actions, feelings, or plans in English. The more natural it becomes, the less you'll rely on translation.
In our next part, we'll talk about one of the biggest obstacles learners face, self-doubt, and how to overcome it so you can keep improving without fear. By now, you've learned some great strategies: immersing yourself in English, thinking in phrases, and practicing thinking aloud. Our final tip today is all about creating a supportive environment to keep your motivation strong.
That means surrounding yourself with English in ways that inspire and encourage you, not pressure or overwhelm you. When you enjoy the process, learning becomes natural and fun.
One way is to connect with others who are also learning English. Join online groups, language exchange partners, or local clubs where you can practice in a friendly space.
You can also follow English content that matches your interests, whether it's music, movies, podcasts, or books. When you're passionate about the topics, your brain stays engaged longer.
Don't forget to celebrate small wins. Every new phrase you master, every conversation you try, these are important steps. Recognize your progress and be kind to yourself.
And here's something many learners forget: take breaks and avoid burnout. It's okay to pause, relax, and come back refreshed. Learning English is a journey, not a race.
Creating this positive environment helps you build confidence and resilience. When challenges come, and they will, you'll have the strength and motivation to keep going.
Think of it like planting a garden. You need good soil, water, and sunlight. Your environment is the soil and sunlight that helps your English skills grow.
So, start today by making your learning environment as friendly and inspiring as possible. Surround yourself with positive influences, practice regularly, and keep your goals in sight.
In the next part, we'll discuss how to handle common obstacles and doubts that try to slow you down, and how to overcome them with confidence. Learning English isn't always easy. Even with all the strategies we've talked about, you'll face obstacles like self-doubt, fear of making mistakes and moments when progress feels slow.
That's completely normal. Almost everyone feels this way at some point. The key is how you respond to these challenges. Instead of letting them stop you, use them as opportunities to grow.
One common obstacle is the fear of sounding silly or making grammar mistakes. Remember, mistakes are part of learning. Every mistake is a step closer to fluency.
Exactly. Native speakers make mistakes too. The difference is they keep talking, and so should you. The more you practice, the less power fear has over you.
Another challenge is feeling stuck or frustrated when you don't see fast progress. It's important to be patient and trust the process. Improvement takes time.
Break your goals into small, manageable steps. Celebrate each success, no matter how small. This keeps your motivation alive and prevents burnout.
Sometimes you might face external challenges, like not having enough time to practice or not having people to speak with. In those cases, get creative. Use language apps, watch videos, or even talk to yourself.
Remember, your mindset matters more than anything. Believe that you can improve and take action every day, no matter how small the step.
If you ever feel overwhelmed, take a short break but come back with fresh energy. Consistency over time beats short bursts of intense effort.
In the next part, we'll practice what we've learned with a role-play conversation between Emily and Liam. This will show you how to use these strategies in real life.
Hey Liam, I've been practicing thinking in English phrases like we talked about, but sometimes I still find myself translating in my head. Any tips?
That's a great question, Emily. It happens to everyone at first. One thing that helped me was to pause and remind myself to think in English instead of translating. For example, instead of saying, "I am hungry" by translating from another language, I try to picture the feeling and say the phrase directly.
That makes sense. So it's about training your brain to connect meaning with English phrases naturally.
Exactly. Also, when you're stuck, try to use English blocks you've learned. Like instead of searching for one perfect word, use phrases like, "I'm not sure," or "let me think about it." It keeps the conversation flowing.
I've noticed that practicing aloud during my daily routine really helps too. Like when I'm cooking, I say out loud, "Now I'm chopping the vegetables." It feels a bit funny, but it makes me more comfortable with English.
That's excellent. Speaking aloud, even to yourself, trains your brain and builds confidence. And don't worry about mistakes. It's part of the process.
Thanks, Liam. I'm feeling more confident already. What about when I get nervous during conversations with others?
Nervousness is natural. When that happens, try deep breathing and remember that people want to understand you, not judge you. Use simple phrases and keep practicing. The more you speak, the easier it gets.
I'll keep that in mind. This role play really helps me see how to apply everything in real life.
Me too, Emily. Practice like this is key. Keep using your English blocks, think aloud, and stay positive.
Let's look at some important words and phrases from today's episode that you can add to your English toolkit.
Our first phrase is think in phrases. This means to stop translating word by word and start using complete blocks of language.
Next is chunk. In English learning, a chunk is a small group of words that are learned and used together as a unit, like "how's it going?" or "let me think."
We also talked about thinking aloud. This means saying what you're thinking or doing out loud to practice speaking English naturally.
Another word is obstacle. It means a problem or difficulty that blocks your progress, like fear or lack of practice.
Here's a useful phrase: break your goals into small steps. This means dividing big tasks into easier parts to stay motivated.
And finally, confidence. This is the feeling of being sure about your abilities, especially in speaking English.
Try making your own sentences with these words. For example, I'm going to break my goal of learning English into small steps. Or, thinking in phrases helps me speak with more confidence.
Practice these words and phrases daily. Use them in your conversations and writing to remember them better.
Learning a language can sometimes feel challenging, but remember, every step you take brings you closer to your goal. You are stronger and more capable than you think.
That's right. It's normal to face difficulties, but don't let them stop you. Each mistake is a lesson, and every conversation you try makes you better.
Confidence grows with practice. The more you speak, the more natural it becomes. Believe in yourself and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Keep your passion alive by finding joy in your learning. Listen to music, watch movies, read books, and talk to people. Make English part of your daily life.
Remember, this journey is yours. Celebrate your progress no matter how small and keep moving forward.
You have everything it takes to speak English with confidence. Just keep practicing, stay positive, and trust yourself.
Today, we talked about how to stop translating in your head and start thinking and speaking confidently in English. We covered practical strategies like thinking in phrases, practicing aloud, and creating a positive learning environment.
We also discussed common obstacles like fear and self-doubt and how to overcome them by staying patient and consistent. Remember, mistakes are part of the process.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share it with friends who want to improve their English. Your support helps us create more helpful content.
We'd love to hear your thoughts and questions too. Leave a comment or message us on social media. Practice makes perfect, and we're here to help you every step of the way.
Thanks for listening to Speak English with Mishu. Keep practicing, stay confident, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care and keep speaking English with confidence.